If you're someone who has experience with high-ranked Valorant games, you're probably aware of the match-fixing situation where players of high ranks are paid to throw games that involve pros and streamers. This has made players beg for some kind of ranked alternative to avoid this problem. Riot kind of solved this problem recently by creating Premier, which was in beta phase last month. It was basically an exclusive mode for players that had a 5-stack with every player confirming their accounts with a phone number. From what I've heard, it's a great experience, but it doesn't necessarily fix the main issue, and now some players have been asking for some kind of third-party service like FaceIt or ESEA to step in and make a service for Valorant similar to how they would do it with CSGO. This got me wondering, would FaceIt and ESEA work in Valorant? Let me explain what these services do for those that aren't familiar with them. For CSGO, it was to help bring the best possible competitive experience to the average consumer. If you aren't aware of Valve's history with CSGO, for most of its lifespan, it was mostly ignored by Valve over Dota 2, and Valve also half-assed pretty much everything with CSGO. Servers were stuck at 64 tick instead of 128 tick. The ranking system is based on Glicko 2, which is a system that forces players to play every single day, which is impossible for most of us, thus creating one of the worst ranking systems I have ever experienced. And the anti-cheat VACnet, while it's not as bad as most people make it out to be, it's still not the greatest for a competitive experience. Companies like FaceIt and ESEA stepped in and said, fuck that, give the people what they want. When you use either FaceIt or ESEA, they give you the best possible experience with 128 tick servers, an elo-based matchmaking system, and an anti-cheat similar to Valorant's Vanguard. So it sounds like Valorant would benefit from these services, right? Here's the problem. Valorant already has all these features in the base game. The servers are already 128 tick, matchmaking is already elo based, and the game has an anti-cheat similar to FaceIt and ESEA's, arguably stronger. And what if I told you that allowing these third-party services to take over would actually make the game worse? One of the reasons why FaceIt and ESEA became so successful with CSGO was because they needed to exist. Valve didn't want to fix their base matchmaking system for some reason, so for those tired of Valve's laziness, they went onto these services. Because of this, it threw everything out of balance. We now have essentially two different versions of the game, the base matchmaking and the premium services. For example, some smoke lineups are different based on server tick rate due to the ticks changing the velocity of projectiles. So if you wanted to play on both kinds of servers, you basically had to learn different variations of specific smoke lineups. It also means that the incentive for grinding the base ranks is completely gone. Why try to grind for global elites if it means absolutely nothing? The only ranks that actually matter these days are FaceIt levels and ESEA grades. Now the only players left playing the actual ranked mode are the drunk idiots playing for shits and giggles because again, ranks don't matter anymore. If you're a CSGO veteran, you probably don't see this as a big deal because we're just used to it at this point. But for new players, it's very easy to look at this and go, nah, and play something else. I don't want that for Valorant because one of Valorant's goals as a game and an esport was to eliminate all the stupid crap Counter-Strike players had to deal with. If your base player base is required to use third-party services to get a decent competitive experience instead of just pressing the play button at the main menu, you did something wrong. And while Valve is trying to fix this with sub-tick servers for Counter-Strike 2, beta testers have said that it still doesn't feel as good or fluent as 128 tick servers, so it might still be an issue when the game officially releases. The base game of Valorant is already perfectly fine performance-wise, and it's even perfectly fine for the average consumer. The only issues are these match fixers, and it seems like only the top 1% of players are the only ones experiencing this, so anyone ascendant and lower shouldn't have to deal with this at all. Some things I would suggest to at least reduce this issue involves features that can better hide the accounts of players. Maybe add a feature that can make an account private or offline so people can't just snoop around to stream snipe the player. It would also be nice to add avoid teammate options, so if you do end up bumping into one of these match fixers, you could block them and avoid them as teammates for a certain amount of time, and maybe multiple blocks can have the account banned at least temporarily for further investigation. I'm honestly down for any solution as long as the base game remains to be the main ranking system and the official path to pro, because if third-party systems start to get involved, it could mean the beginning of the end of the base matchmaking system for everyone else. That is going to be it for today's video. What are your guys' thoughts on these third-party services? Are you for them coming to Valorant? Do you not want them to come to Valorant? Are there any other alternate solutions you guys have in mind? Let me know down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe for more content, and I'll talk to you all later.